Hello, Carlise here with Hudson Valley Atelier. I wanted to go over um, a sculptural process in wet felting to make our vessels nice and firm and give that solid stability that your vessels need. So I already felted pretty much my piece. There's a resist in the middle. I'm using a mix of merino, bamboo, and some merino yarns. I felted them until my yarns attached, and there is very little movement, and I know that they're going to fully attach once I start the fulling process. So this is my project after rolling, massaging, and all that fun stuff. So it's very soapy right now. It's very wet. So at this stage, what I want to do is grab my my project. I already know I did all of my tests, my pinch tests, my wiggle tests. This is a solid piece. Now what I'm going to do is just crumple it, give it a couple of throws, just to start the fulling process and to loosen my resist in the middle of my wools. And I do this on the bubble wrap to catch any kind of water, soap, and all that good stuff. Okay, and another test. When I do this, I know that my yarns are really set, so I won't bother that. So now what I'm going to do is get my scissors and cut a doorway, hole, whatever you want to call it, in the middle. Now you can cut along the edges, but this is going to be more of a round type of bowl. So what I do is I just pinch, I make my incision, if my scissors, and I do like a cross cut so that I have a nice little hole that my finger can stick right in. So that's it. I start with a very small hole because I know that this hole is going to expand, and I will end up making this hole bigger either through expansion or cutting. But I'm just going to heal the edge a little bit by rubbing the edge. And now I have my hole so I can introduce some air inside to really further loosen up my resist and to release my wools from everything. So I just give it a little tug. I give it some wax around the edges. This is, again, just to loosen my resist in the middle. And my hole is getting wider as I go around. Then I'm going to try to get this resist out from this tiny little hole. I just need a small little pinch to grab that resist. Come on, resist. There we go. Pull that out. And that's going to further widen my hole. You could already see my hole widening as we pull. It's almost like birth. So my hole is that big now. That's why I always start with a small hole. Now, even though this is really soapy, I still like to give it a few whacks, and never underestimate the wax, especially to get things very solid and really fold together. This is one of many whacks. I don't do any counting. I just whack as many times as I feel right. Now all of this soap is coming to the surface, which is fine. but it's going to hinder a little bit of my fulling process. So after I'm okay with all of my wax, I'm going to rinse this. So I'm going to bring my water bucket. I'm going to put my project in the water and squeeze in the water and let the water just kind of disperse the soap. I don't want to take all the soap out, and I don't want this to be bone dry. So I'm just going to squeeze a little bit. So there's still soap, there's still water. I'm going to leave a little water in here because I want that weight, and it's still bunched up. Now I'm really going to get a little bit more fierce with my throwing, whacking, whatever. Really get these fulling. So fulling really gets the fibers pulled in together even more. So fulling also is responsible for your shrinkage. So you'll see that your projects really start to shrink during this process. Again, I'm just going to throw as many times as I feel my project needs. And I'm seeing that some of the yarns are a little loose, but it might grab on during the fulling process. It's fine. After I whack it a few times, I'm just going to do a quick little sizing check. So I'll grab my resist, I'll put my vessel on top, and it's shrunk about 10% or so, 10-15%. So that's great. I want that because all of this buckling and fulling, that's when the fibers really start to strengthen and pull together and really give your project the strength that it needs. Some people stop here. I'm going to keep going. So you're going to see this really shrink. So whenever I do my projects, I really make sure that my resist and my initial size is it's a little larger than normal, because I do like to make my things shrink a little bit more for the stability. I'm going to take this aside. And now I'm going to start working on my wet towel. And I will give this a couple more smacks. And I'm concentrating of smacking around the seams, because I'm going to start to get these seams not to be so strong around the edge. Yeah, so I won't have that crazy edge. All right, I need a little bit more than just one finger in here, so I'm going to cut the hole a little bit larger. And I always start small because I can't put back, but I can cut more if I need to cut more. So I'm cutting I'm just following this shape, and I'm cutting, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch around, just so that I can get a little bit more of my fingers in there. Before I start anything, I'm going to heal this edge by just rubbing that edge rigorously. That will give you a nice smooth edge. Now this will increase a little bit more. The hole will increase a little bit more the more I handle things. So now I can get 2 fingers in there, maybe even 3, okay? But I want to make sure that my fingers are in there, because now I'm going to start to rub my seam all around. I know where my seam is because it's around the edge of where the yarn stopped. And I'm just rubbing right against my 2 fingers inside the vessel. Rubbing, throwing, rolling is important. Now, some wet felters will use tools to do this fulling process, and that's fine. I really like to use my hands and whatever I have around, like my towel, plastic. Some people like to use the plastic to rub. I'll do that sometimes too. It just depends on the effect that I want in my vessels. Now that I've rubbed all around, I'm going to keep my fingers in, and I'm just going to whack. And I really want to hear the contact. I don't want to get all gingerly. That's really not going to do much at this stage. You really want to get a contact in there. So use this as kind of anger management, stress relief, whatever you feel. I'll even maybe bang the bottom a bit. So usually when you're fulling, things get pulled in all sorts of different areas. So your shape will start to misshapen, which is fine. You might like that look, and that's fine too. I might keep it like this, but I want to show you to get it back into shape. You would roll this out and just start rolling the places that are buckling out. So I'm just going to give a roll. There's no counting for this type of rolling because it's more of a mold roll. So any place that you see a outward buckle, I'm just going to roll. Usually I tend to see in circular shapes more of a square type of buckle. So there's like 4 corners that kind of buckle out. So I kind of concentrate on those 4 corners. And now it's a lot more rounder than it was before. So now I can continue. And this is just the process. I'm going to be repeating this several times until I see the strength that I'm looking for. It's not necessarily the shape I'm looking for at this moment. I'm looking for the strength. But I'm also in some ways keeping an eye on the shape. I don't want it to be too misshapen. Now, organically, if you're doing this organically and you just want to intuitively make a vessel that comes out with whatever shape and not concentrate on a circular shape or whatever shape you're looking for, then you don't have to roll and get everything back into its original shape. Just, you know, keep going and strengthening, and then whatever shape you come out with is what you come out with. But there is a finishing process to this in the molding process, and we're not there yet. So I really want to make sure that this is nice and strong. Again, I am going beyond what a lot of what felters do to get a nice, strong, solid vessel. So I keep whacking, and I like whacking the sides. I find if I do this, the seam really comes out, and that's great. I don't want the seam in this particular vessel. I might in other vessels, but not this particular vessel. And as I'm doing this, you see the hole has widened. So I don't know if I want to go any further than that as far as cutting more of an opening out or not. I'm not sure. I'm just going to assess and see what else I need to do. I want to get rid of some of these folds, so I'm going to go in with my 2 fingers again and start rubbing. I'm just concentrating on those kind of folded in areas. Nothing that I'm doing right now is finishing. This is getting things strong. It may look like it's molding, which it is, but I'm concentrating on the strength. I might rub the bottom. I might want a smoother bottom. And then I'm going to come back in. This is my favorite way to, I guess, throw my wool, is by keeping my fingers in the opening and just smacking the sides. And I'll do a size assessment. So I'll grab my resist again and see how much more this little guy has shrunk. So probably another 10% or so it's shrunk. It's keeping its circle because I want that for this particular vessel. I'm going to give this another little rinse. Sometimes the soap, well, not sometimes, a lot of times, the soap will hinder the fulling process. But if it's not at that point yet, you still want a little bit of soap in this to help it. So I'll just throw this as a big solid ball. Let's give it, yeah, it's going to reshape. And like I said, this is a repeated process, over and over again. But the more you do this, the more solid your vessel becomes. I'm really whacking. I'm going from high and really smacking this down. Okay, and I'll go in with my fingers again, smack it on the sides. Just taking that a little bit more of that soap out really started to get this fold a lot more, and those vulnerable pieces of my yarn finally settled and attached themselves. So that fulling process is at its peak right now. So things go very fast at the fulling peak. So I like to use that to its full advantage. And just to show you how much more this has shrunk, there we go, a lot more. So we're at least 25-30%, possibly closer to 35%. I'm going to give this one more rinse. Because of that shrinkage rate, I know that this is pretty solid at this point in time. I'm really squeezing the soap under the water and letting the water underneath get rid of all of that soap. And this time I want to really strain it. I don't need that weight anymore. I'll give it a few more throws. And put my fingers, do a couple rubs. I might even rub on the, this is really fulling very fast. Even rub on the towel. This is even smaller than it was. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to take my balloon, any kind of balloon, and I'm going to be off camera for a second because I want to blow this up. I'm putting the belly of the balloon all the way down. And I do like the balloon method for these smaller vessels. I like to blow it until the mouth comes out. That's weird. Sorry. Until the top of the balloon comes out of the opening. Close it. And now I can mold this. Now this is ready for molding. And I will roll it, making sure that the balloon doesn't come all the way out. I'm just pressing, rolling, pressing, rolling, pressing, rolling. Really get this into the shape that I want. I do want a round shape. You can even smack it at this stage because everything is accelerated as far as the fulling stage is. Whatever works for you, right? So now I have a nice round, and I'll create a little bottom. So this is my round. The mouth or the opening is nice and healed, so I know that I have a really nice edge for when this dries. My yarns are nice and attached. I don't have any buckling. Everything's nice and smooth. Don't give up on your felting. A lot of times it's just because you haven't fulled enough. Don't underestimate the throw, the roll, the smack for a lot of these things. And the rub. It's almost like clay in the fulling stage. So just know your wool will tell you the stages that it's in. And also don't underestimate how much soap is in. Your soap will hinder a lot of the fulling process. I'm not saying to get rid of all of your soap right at the get-go. Keep a little soap in there during the fulling process and just gradually take out soap like I did with this. At some point, your vessel will rapidly felt on itself. So use that to your advantage and you'll have a really nice, strong, solid vessel. I hope this helped you and enjoy the fulling process. I'm really happy with how that came out. Thank you.